Welcome to the bold analysis. I've just come from Jacaranda this afternoon, and Raila Odinga have started today's demonstration in Imara Daima. Probably we are waiting to see his destination. Remember, it remained unknown to many. There is a question that many people, and I've realized it's a discussion going on. This is the question: what is the success or what is the effectiveness of putting Nairobi residents, especially in the densely populated slums, in some sort of a lockdown, in the same spirit of making sure that people don't go, that to lock down protesters from heading to town or rather getting to CBD? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bold analysis. Raila Odinga has remained non-committal on revealing routes that he would be using when he actually heads to the streets for the protest, and that has remained his critical intelligence. It has not even journalists. I was just listening to NTV saying that they've went to his Orange House, the Capitol Hill, and home, those three, but they did not know where he was. So when the country was waiting, akatokelezea side ya Imara Daima. However, this strategy of putting protesters in a lockdown to prevent them from going to town is not as effective as we would actually want it to be. If you ask me, there is a video from Malare. I was in Madare very early as 6 there, around number 10. I was in number 10 there. And there is a video you'll see of women there telling the police that, can you leave us, we do peaceful protests so that we can finish in time and go back to our businesses. And the police refused. They seemed to be surrendering, and their only problem was that the presence of the police trying to repulse them has stopped them from doing a peaceful protest. So this is it. If they are to be repulsed and they are to do protest within the estates, are we going to see destructions? I don't know. What exactly would it mean? Because out of that anger, you realize that people retreat to the corridors, and then they start having running battles with the police. If you ask me, I think the security officers are enjoying the cat and mouse games between them and the masses, because strategically it's not something that is, to me, very effective. And again, this strategy targets the densely populated areas. In this video, I want us, and this has been Madare, Kibera, the other side of Westlands, the Kangemi area, the Mlango Kubwa, I saw this other side of Mukuru kwa Ruben, and the other places like Kayole. What is the essence of locking them out? And I just ask again, what will happen if people protest in town, in CBD? Is there probability of things going south? Probably. I think Raila Odinga team have also accepted that, okay, fine, you cannot allow us to protest in town, to go to CBD, but let's go to where our supporters are. This, according to me, will camouflage in accumulation, the mother of all protests, and probably they will converge and then make a different move, because the messaging is the same. They're just trying to move on with the protests, but no one actually sees the end game. Many are waiting for the day they're going to protest in town. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to critique objectively the operation of putting residents, or rather Kenyans, in some sort of a lockdown. I don't think that strategy is very effective, as in the spirit of we want operations to normalize. The state is committed, and what they want to do is they want to paint a picture that in the midst of all this mass action, Kenyans have ignored. That's what people are struggling. And if you're keen, you realize that Thursday, which was the first protest, like this Thursday, the discussion was centered on very early in the morning. I saw Twitter page by Millicent Omanga and UDA bloggers. They were all committed telling the country that Kenyans have moved on, and they went there and shared photos of those who are selling. Some of them even downloaded photos of Kenyans selling some normal day and posted those photos saying that Kenyans are moving on and then people should go to town. Remember, people had not even, there was a fear and no one was even going to town. I can tell you, we have overestimated and overemphasized the fact that the disruptions in town, other things are going on in town. Are we also sensitive to the fact that even in the estates, there are businesses that are supposed to go on? Even in the estates, there are businesses that are supposed to go on. Now that we are saying, we seem to be bragging and creating a very interesting narrative that we've moved on, we've locked them from town, so we've successfully contained. But I'm just asking, if you contain people there with their police presence and the tension there, do you think there is any shop? And that is why I went to Mathare. I was around number 10. Now, there is an observation that I made. Those who sells the mandazis and wale ambao wanafanya the groceries, the small business. Around number 10, for people who know Mathare, is a highly populated place, and it's I want to say maybe 15-hour economy from 5 to probably midnight. 5 in the morning to midnight. I was there as early as 8 in the morning. No mandazi. Wale ambao wanafanya hizo biashara ndogo ndogo, no one was there. Simply because of fear of protest erupting within the street. So you're even doing more harm to the household. And in fact, those who are containing the middle class, you can, which is easy, locking people there and going to protect people's businesses in town. Hata msimame karibu na hizo mashops, then you leave these people to protest. I don't think there's going to be a problem. In fact, in CBD, there are no stones. Stones are in the estates. So the running battles of throwings, I think, are happening mostly in the estates. I want to say my 4 reasons why I have a feeling that that strategy, to me, it's doing more harm than what we are actually saying. We are actually creating tension in the residential places and even disrupting the activities there. If it's rather in the place, in the residential places, in those estates, isn't your places, people are actually the hand-to-mouth economy. Those who sell mambogas, those who sell in the morning, the mandazi people, the chapati, these small businesses thrive in those residential places. And now, that is what is the source of livelihood for those people. When you put them in some lockdown, you will realize that ata wale wa mama that are supposed to go for the small, the mambogas that are supposed to go for mbogas in Mudhurwa to come and sell later in the day, they cannot move. Wale ambao wanafaa fungue the small businesses, they cannot open because they fear. In the name of we are protecting the middle class businesses in town, or rather the high class businesses in town, which we can as well protect by allowing these people to go. But then you can, if all these shops close, and people need to close, of course. There is no difference. The one closing and even town closing. Actually, the ones people who want businesses in town that have closed are middle class. So most of them, you realize that they're just stating the comfort of their homes. But then we are suffocating the slums with the tear gas and the water cannons, while we can still do it in a measure. If it's allowed, even it can even take, actually, I've realized that it happens, I think, maybe in the morning hours. Maybe 2 or 3 hours happens, then everyone goes back to his place. Number 2, we run the risk of hurting innocent and vulnerable Kenyans, not even interested in the mass action. I saw the clip from Mathare. The women and the children were actually talking to the police. There was that diplomacy. And the children are there. I've seen the same scenario in Jacaranda, where these are places, ni watoto wanaishi, The kids are supposed to go to school, they've not gone to school. They've seen the adults engaging, they are all there. So when you're throwing tear gas, canisters, in those residential places, in those corridors, you don't know who it's going to hit. Unaweza pata hata umegonga mtoto unknowingly. A kid who is innocent, and if he is participating, that is just under the pressure of the situation. You can even fire bullets and stray bullets. The discussion about stray bullet is there. And if you've been covering protest and if reading articles on protest, you'll realize that police will always say there was a stray bullet, or rather that was hit mistakenly. So we don't, as much as we must to have a lot of restraint, but we run the risk of, by then in these estates there's some schools that run huko kwa hizo katikati hizo mabati, kuna some schools utarusha tear gas, urushe watoto kiwa. Doesn't look good. 3, I think even the journalists and police lives are at risk, because in the residences, those protesters are more acquainted with the corridors there. So you don't know the corridors. The journalists that were cornered in Kibera, they were cornered in the corridors, because the protesters knows very well, hii corridor tukiwapata, they don't have an escape. So you're not so much acquainted with the topography, rather the way, the corridors, the chums there. So it's more dangerous than even in town, because in town you can know how you maneuver your way. I think it's building anxiety and provocation. So as much as you can look at it as a success that we've locked down, but it's creating more harm at the household, for the household economy, in the pretense of supporting the people at the up, but the people at the bottom are really suffering. Let's meet in the next.